Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon so that you never miss any video lesson from Rouse IAS Study Circle. Now we are also available on Telegram, so join our Telegram channel by clicking on the link that is available in the description below to get the latest updates from Rouse IAS Study Circle. Hello and welcome to the Daily News Simplified, an analysis of the Hindu newspaper from UPSC perspective. Today we will discuss the Delhi edition of the Hindu newspaper dated 28th July 2021, and the articles that we will discuss are displayed on your screen. So let's start the discussion. Now, this article on page number 6 is related to one of the most important issues that is ongoing in the international relations, and that is the Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan. And also associated with this is the United States of America's withdrawal of its forces from Afghanistan along with the NATO forces. In this line, various news articles keep on appearing in the newspapers, and some of them are related to different aspects of the Afghan issue. For example, recently on the DNS dated 22nd July 2021, we discussed the issue of whether India should engage with Taliban directly or not. However, this article that we are seeing in today's newspaper is related to the key role that the Central Asian countries are playing in the Afghan issue. So with the US and the NATO forces withdrawing from Afghanistan, Central Asia is emerging as a key player for bringing in stability in the region. And further, India, which has been reluctant to engage with Taliban, has been left out of major initiatives aimed at handling the Afghan situation. In this background, let us look at the challenges and opportunities that are available for India via the Central Asia-led engagement in Afghanistan. And this is because Central Asia is now keenly taking interest in resolving and engaging with the issue that is happening in Afghanistan for its own benefits. So let us look at the key role that Central Asia is playing in the Afghan issue and also what opportunities it brings with itself for India to engage in the Afghan situation and gain from it. So the points that we discuss here can be important for us from General Studies paper 2 point of view in the topic international relations. But first let us look at what is the geography of Central Asia and which all countries are part of Central Asia and why are they seeking the resolution of the Afghan issue. So if you look at the map of the Central Asian countries, these include countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. And sometimes these countries and the term that is used for these countries is the stans. Now, if you look at these Central Asian countries, some of them share the border with Afghanistan directly, and these include Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, etc. Further, these Central Asian countries are landlocked. That is, they do not have direct access to sea, and that is why they will have to depend upon an intermediate country to access the sea. And as such, Afghanistan becomes very important for these countries to reach the Indian Ocean, because Afghanistan is one of the key neighboring countries for all these Central Asian countries. Besides this, we also note that India also has the issue of accessing the Central Asian economies, and that is why India has been developing the Chabahar port in Iran to access Central Asian countries via the Afghanistan route. And India is keenly interested in the development of Chabahar port because India does not have good relations with one of its most important neighbors, Pakistan. So looking at the geography of Central Asian countries, we see that the peace in Afghanistan is important for some of these Central Asian countries. Also of late, we have been listening in the news articles that Taliban has taken over key crossings of Afghanistan with its neighboring countries. And in one of the DNS videos and the map entry related videos, we have seen which all locations are now under the control of Taliban, which are at border of Afghanistan with its neighboring countries. And that is why Central Asia is concerned that if Taliban takes over these locations or the border locations of Afghanistan with these countries, they will adversely impact the interest of these Central Asian countries in the region. Now this brings us to next issue as to how is Central Asia emerging as a key player in Afghanistan. Now we all know that Russia, China and United States of America are the key global powers that are interested in resolving the Afghan issue. And in this line, we have seen various initiatives like the peace deal that was announced by the United States of America with Taliban, the Moscow summit that was announced by Russia for improving the situation of Afghanistan, and also China has been involved directly and indirectly in the resolution of the Afghan process for its Belt Road Initiative's stability. And as such, all these three countries, which are sometimes termed as the Troika, are now turning towards Central Asia in handling the situation. Now, besides these three countries, Pakistan is also emerging as a key player in the Afghan issue. And that is because Pakistan has had good relations with Taliban in the past. And accordingly, the engagement of Pakistan with Taliban is emerging as a key issue in the Afghan situation. Now, in this line, we note that Shanghai Cooperation Organization involves Russia and China, and they have a central role to play. And here, India is also a member. And recently, 3 meetings of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's contact group on Afghanistan have been held this month. So, this highlights that both Russia and China and the Central Asian countries are also taking key interest in the Afghan peace process because the Central Asian countries are also the part of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Further, there was meeting of the SCO defense ministers in Tajikistan recently, and this again highlights the key role that Central Asian countries or the key interest that these Central Asian countries are taking in the Afghan issue. And finally, a Central and South Asian conference on regional connectivity took place in Afghanistan. And this conference highlighted the key role that Afghanistan is going to play in increasing the connectivity between Central and the South Asian countries. So if you look at this map, we note that these are the Central Asian countries and these are the South Asian countries. And for improving the connectivity between these two countries, Afghanistan will play a key role. Then again, United States of America has announced a new formation of a Quad group on the regional connectivity. And this includes the US, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan and Pakistan in this line. And this initiative again shows the centrality of Central Asian countries in resolving the Afghan issue. In this line, the United States Agency for International Development is conducting trial runs for truck convoys for improving trade between Tashkent to Karachi and back. So basically, it aims at improving the connectivity between the Central Asian countries and Pakistan via the Afghanistan route. However, it needs to be noted that India is not a member of the Quadrilateral Group on Regional Connectivity, which involves US, Uzbekistan, Afghanistan and Pakistan. So all these events that have taken place recently highlight that Central Asia is emerging as a key player in the resolution of Afghanistan issue. In this line, let us look at the next question as to why is Central Asia so crucial for the Afghan situation. And we all know that Central Asia shares border with Afghanistan, and some of the key countries include Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan, which share borders with Afghanistan directly. And besides this, the other Central Asian countries like Kazakhstan, etc. are also having their interest in Afghanistan because it will improve the access of these Central Asian countries to the Indian Ocean via Afghanistan. Further, we note that Taliban has been taking control of various important territories in the Afghanistan. And some of these territories are at border with the important neighboring countries of Afghanistan. For example, the Torgundi crossing with Turkmenistan is now under the control of Taliban. Another important bordering town of Sher Khan Bandar that shares border with Tajikistan is also under the control of Taliban. And recently, Taliban has taken control of Imam Sahib, which is also a bordering town with Tajikistan. So this highlights the increasing influence of Taliban on bordering cities with various neighboring countries of Afghanistan. So in this line, the key concerns of the Central Asian countries are related to connectivity through the Afghanistan. And we all know that the Central Asian countries are landlocked countries and they do not have direct access to Indian Ocean. And as such, Afghanistan can play a key role in improving the access of Indian Ocean for these landlocked Central Asian countries. Then Central Asia is also interested in trade with South Asia and other neighboring countries. And accordingly, the safety of transit of these Central Asian goods will now depend on the relations of these countries with the Taliban, which is steadily gaining influence in Afghanistan. Further, most of the Central Asian countries are now part of the Belt Road Initiative of China. And this is likely to provide them with opportunity of new investments. However, if they have issues with Afghanistan and if the Afghanistan is blocking their trade with other neighboring countries, they might not benefit from the Belt Road Initiative of China. And as such, stability in Afghanistan is one of the key concerns for Central Asia. Now, before looking at the role that is being played by Central Asian countries in Afghanistan and also the shared concerns of India and Central Asia in the stability of Afghanistan, let us look at how India has been left out of the Afghan peace process. Now we note that the US, Russia and China have all met with Taliban and they have also involved Pakistan to reach at a resolution to the current situation. However, India has not been able to engage with all these initiatives because India has been reluctant to engage with Taliban. Further, it is being said that India's developmental efforts have not helped India gain a key role in Afghanistan. And also, there has been end of formal dialogue between India and Pakistan since 2016, and this has also impacted the trade between India and Afghanistan via the Pakistan because Pakistan has been blocking India's overland access to Afghanistan. Besides this, India has been trying to improve its connectivity into Afghanistan via the Chabhar port. However, this has also not been very successful because of the US sanctions on Iran because of the failure of Iran nuclear deal during the previous presidency of the United States of America. Besides this, India has also boycotted the Chinese Belt Road Initiative, and also we have tensions with China along the line of actual control because of Chinese aggressions. And that is why the Chinese route to Afghanistan is also out of India's reach. So all these highlight that India has been clearly left out of the Afghan process, and the main reason for this has been India's reluctance to engage with the Taliban directly. And in the Daily News Simplified of 22nd July 2021, we have already seen the various issues associated with India's engagement with Taliban, and also why is India not engaging with Taliban or what are the reasons for that, and also a case for India engaging directly with Taliban. So you can go through this DNS video to understand the issue of India's engagement with Taliban and its reluctance. Now, as Central Asia is playing a key role in the Afghanistan, let us look at the key role that Uzbekistan is playing in the Afghanistan. So the new Uzbekistan's president has resolved existing border disputes with its neighboring countries, which include some of the Central Asian countries as well. Further, Uzbekistan has reached out to US as well as China. Earlier, these Central Asian countries were seen as being under the Russian influence because of the erstwhile USSR's influence in these countries. Also, Uzbekistan became one of the first countries to publicly invite a Taliban delegation from Doha. And also, Uzbekistan has promoted a number of ambitious trade and connectivity initiatives with the present Afghanistan government. And this highlights the key role that Uzbekistan and Central Asian countries are likely to play in the Afghanistan's issue. In this line, let us look at the opportunities that are there for India and the Central Asia to engage because of the shared concerns that both these have in the region. Now, both share the common concern of rise of terrorism and extremism because of Taliban's takeover. We all note that Taliban has been seen as providing safe havens to various terror groups, and the extremism of Taliban can further spread into the neighboring countries of Central Asia, and that is why Central Asian countries are also concerned about the extremism because of Taliban's takeover, and India of course is concerned about the terrorism issue in the region. And as such, it is highlighted that it is necessary for both to provide finances to the Afghan government to save it from collapsing at the hands of Taliban. And we note that Taliban has been steadily increasing its influence in the Afghanistan's territories. And as such, it is posing a threat to the present Afghan government. And in order to save the Afghan government from the Taliban's influence, it is necessary for both India as well as Central Asian countries to provide finances to the Afghan government. Further, there is a regional anti-terrorist structure that has been created under the ambit of Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And we note that India is a part of the SCO. So in this line, it is highlighted that as being a part of the SCO's RATS or the regional anti-terrorist structure, India must also step up its engagement with the Central Asian countries on fighting the terror in the region because of Taliban's takeover in the Afghanistan. And as such, India should also provide military equipments to Afghanistan's forces. So this highlights that India and Central Asia have shared concerns in the Afghanistan because of Taliban's takeover. And as such, both of them need to engage productively to solve the Afghanistan issue. But for India and Central Asian countries to pursue their shared concerns, the need of the hour is more strategic engagement with Pakistan because Central Asia is now improving or engaging with Pakistan also for improving the regional connectivity. However, there is lack of engagement between India and Pakistan because of various existing issues. So it is highlighted that the need of the hour is for more strategic engagement between India and Pakistan for improving the situation in Afghanistan and also for India and Central Asia to engage effectively India's issues with Pakistan need to be resolved first. So these are some of the points that we have seen here regarding the importance of Central Asia as far as the Afghan issue is concerned, and also what are the shared concerns between India and Central Asia, and how crucial is Afghanistan for Central Asia as far as its access to Indian Ocean is concerned, because Central Asia is a landlocked region. With this, let's take up the next news article now. Now, this editorial on page number 6 is related to the recent violent clashes that happened at Assam and Mizoram border. And in these clashes, 5 personnel of Assam police lost their lives in exchange of fire between the forces of these two northeastern states. Now, the origin of this issue dates back to the British times because of the unclear boundary demarcation between these two states in the northeastern part of India. Further, such violent border issues between various states highlight the lack of national integration even after 70 years of independence. In this line, let us look at what is the history of the border clash between Assam and Mizoram and how it dates back to British era. And after that, let us also look at some other interstate border disputes that are happening in India, and also what are the various constitutional and extra constitutional mechanisms to address such interstate disputes. Now, the border issue between Assam and Mizoram dates back to 1930s. Now, Mizoram shares border with Assam's Barak Valley, and the boundary between the two states is about 165 kilometers at present. And the issue of boundary between the two states started when Mizoram was a district of Assam and was known as Lushai Hills back then. So in 1993, the British government demarcated the boundary between these Lushai Hills, Kachar district of Assam, and the neighboring state of Manipur. However, the Mizos did not accept this demarcation on the ground that Mizo tribal chiefs were not consulted while demarcation of such boundary. And things got complicated after independence when Mizoram was carved out as a union territory in 1972 out of Assam. And finally, when the union territory of Mizoram was converted into state in 1980s, the border dispute between Assam and Mizoram started. However, the two states signed an agreement that status quo should be maintained at no man's land that is set up between the boundaries. However, transgressions have often happened over the decades, and this has led to various skirmishes in the past also and in the recent months. And this ultimately culminated into the clash or the violent clash that we saw at the border of Assam and Mizoram. Now, the border dispute between Assam and Mizoram, which has taken a violent turn, has been in news. However, this does not mean that the other border disputes do not exist in India as far as the Indian states are concerned. Let us look at the other interstate border disputes that exist in India today. So in this line, Assam has border disputes with Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Nagaland and Mizoram. So clearly we can see that because Assam was the only state in the northeastern part of India after independence, and after that some of these states have been carved out of Assam, the border disputes of Assam with these states still exist till date. And accordingly, a committee of joint secretaries was set up by the Ministry of Home Affairs in 2020 to review these border issues. Now, besides Assam, recently a border dispute also erupted between Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. And this was when the Andhra Pradesh government announced panchayat polls in a group of villages which are claimed by the Odisha government. Now, these kind of interstate border disputes weaken national integration and also cause law and order problems. In this regard, let us look at some of the constitutional and the extra constitutional mechanisms that are there to address such kind of interstate disputes that arise in India. Now, one of the key area of dispute between the states in India is the interstate river water disputes. However, for that, a separate mechanism has been provided for in the Indian Constitution. Besides the river water dispute between states, for any other kind of dispute, the Interstate Council has been created as a mechanism to resolve the disputes amicably. And in this line, Interstate Council is a non-permanent constitutional body that is enshrined in the Article 263 of the Indian Constitution. In this line, first Interstate Council was set up in 1990 through a presidential ordinance for the first time based on the recommendations of the Sarkaria Commission under the Ministry of Home Affairs. And one of the functions of this council is to inquire and advise upon the disputes which may have emerged between the states. However, the role of Interstate Council is only advisory in nature, and the verdict of Interstate Council or the Recommendations of the Interstate Council are not binding on the states concerned. Besides the interstate councils, there are zonal councils which are statutory bodies and not constitutional bodies because they were established by the States Reorganization Act of 1956 in order to resolve any dispute that arises because of such reorganization. And these zonal councils are empowered to discuss and make recommendations with regard to any matter concerning border disputes, linguistic minorities, or interstate transport. And accordingly, this is also an advisory body that has been created by the States Reorganization Act of 1956 to resolve the disputes between the states. In this regard, one of the important powers of Supreme Court, which is considered as its exclusive and original jurisdiction, is of providing the jurisdiction over interstate disputes. So clearly, the Supreme Court has the exclusive and original jurisdiction as far as the interstate disputes are concerned. So clearly, we have seen that there are three mechanisms that can be resorted to resolving the dispute between various states and also the dispute that exists between Assam and Mizoram. With this, let's take up the next news article now. Now, this article on page number 7 is related to the issue of floods that happened in Europe recently. And in this line, several European countries were affected adversely by the floods, and these were catastrophic, causing deaths and caused widespread damage. Now, these floods affected several northern as well as central European countries, and these included Austria, Belgium, Croatia, Germany, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Switzerland, and Italy. Further, these floods have been followed with unprecedented heat waves that were witnessed in the Pacific Northwest and the Northern Europe. And this has prompted various scientists to evaluate a possible connection between the climate change and these extreme climate events of heat waves followed by floods in the European cities and countries. So let us look at the connection that has been drawn by various scientists between these floods and the climate change. So this can just be a point that you can write regarding the impact of climate change, and this can be a case study that you can mention. Now, the scientists have been warning that extreme weather events could become more common as a consequence of climate change. And examples of such extreme weather events would include heat waves, heavy rainfall, increase in the intensity and frequency of tropical cyclones, and also cold waves. Now, this is based on the assumption that an increase in the atmosphere's temperature because of global warming allows it to absorb more water vapor, which results in more precipitation. So this is one of the hypotheses related to global warming and the connection between increased rains and the following floods in the European countries and some of the cities. Now, as we all know that the global warming has been because of increased CO2 emissions. And these increased CO2 emissions also lead to increase in the temperatures. Now, as the temperature of air is increasing, the warmer air is known to hold more moisture, and it results in excess rainfall, which ultimately leads to flooding in areas. Further, because of global warming, there has been increase in the temperatures at the poles. And because of this, there has been slower movement of storms in the mid-latitudes. We note that the temperate cyclones or the temperate storms are the ones that cause rains in the middle latitudes in the regions of European countries. And because of the increased temperatures in the polar regions, the movement of such storms becomes slow. And as a result, these storms stay over a place for a longer period of time. So the combination of slow moving storms and the presence of surplus moisture in the atmosphere results in intense rainfall in one location within a very short period of time. So this has been one of the correlation that has been set out by the scientists as far as the impact of climate change, global warming and increased CO2 emissions has been related to the floods that happened in European countries. Further, it has been argued that the climate change might have resulted in the jet streams becoming more erratic, and this could have led to more frequent extreme weather phenomena. Now we note that the temperate cyclones in the middle latitudes are closely associated with the jet streams that flow about them. And the jet streams are known to maneuver the temperate cyclones from west to east. And because of the climate change led erratic behavior in the jet streams, this has led to extreme weather phenomena that has been witnessed in the middle latitudes in the European parts. So these are some of the correlations that have been set out by scientists as far as the relation between floods and the climate change is concerned. However, this is a matter of further research and analysis, And the impact of climate change on the floods will be understood more clearly after a lot of research is done on this impact and the relationship between the climate change and the floods. So you can use this as an example and also the reasons which led to the floods that have been highlighted by the scientists in some of the answers related to the impact of climate change. With this, let's take up the next news article now. Now, this article on page number 8 reads that Dholavira, which is the Indus Valley Civilization site in Gujarat, has received the status of World Heritage Site by UNESCO. And accordingly, this location becomes important for us from the prelims examination perspective. So let us look at some of the features of the Dholavira site and also the unique features of Dholavira in the Indus Valley Civilization. Now, regarding Dholavira, you should note that it is the first site of the ancient Indus Valley Civilization in India to get a tag of World Heritage by the UNESCO. And no other Indus Valley Civilization site of India has received the status of World Heritage by UNESCO. Further, the city of Dholavira is located on Khadir Island in the Kutch district of Gujarat. And after Mohenjo-daro, Ganeriwala and Harappa in Pakistan and Rakhigarh in Haryana, Dholavira is the fifth largest metropolis or the fifth largest site of the Indus Valley Civilization. Further, Dholavira is known for a fortified citadel, a middle town and a lower town. And the unique thing about this site is that the walls are made up of sandstone or limestone instead of the mud bricks that are found in the other Harappan sites. So this is one of the unique features of Dholavira, which is also an Indus Valley Civilization site. Further, Dholavira is the fifth largest metropolis of the Indus Valley Civilization, and also this is the first city of Indus Valley Civilization in India to get the tag of World Heritage by UNESCO. Now, regarding the unique features of Dholavira, you should note that it is known for its water management, and accordingly, it has a cascading series of water reservoirs. Further, it is unique for its outer fortification wall that has been created. It has two multi-purpose grounds, one of which was used for festivities and as marketplace. Besides this, it has 9 gates which all have unique designs. And also, it has architecture related to funerals or funerary architecture. And this architecture is different from other Indus Valley sites because these are hemispherical structures like the Buddhist stupas. So these are some of the unique features of Dholavira, which is an Indus Valley Civilization site and has received the status of World Heritage by UNESCO. So this location becomes important for us from the prelims examination perspective, and a multiple choice question has been created in the form of quiz that is related to the DNS and that is uploaded on the eLearn platform. Now, besides the articles that we have discussed till now, there are two other important articles for us from the prelims examination perspective. One is on page number 12 and another one is on page number 13. The first article on page number 12 is related to the South China Sea, and the second article on page number 13 is related to the IMF's report that has been released recently, which is known as the World Economic Outlook, and it has cut down the India's growth forecasts. Accordingly, two MCQs have been created on both these questions along with the question related to Dholavira, and all these questions can be solved in the form of a quiz that is available on the eLearn platform of Rouse IAS. Further, there is an article on page number 7 which talks about the need for an anti-trafficking law. And in this regard, the various aspects of the anti-trafficking bill and the concerns associated with it have been discussed in the DNS of 18 July 2021. So do go through this DNS and learn more about the anti-trafficking bill and some of the issues associated with it. With this, we conclude today's discussion, and this is the question for the day.